Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Banner and Backbone. I'm Nick Perro, your co founder and host, and this is my good friend and original trifecta founder here at Banner and Backbone, Frederick Pogue, veteran,
Yeah.
friend, pain in the ass sometimes, Marine,
Yeah.
loudmouth, one of our favorite folks to have around. He's fucking back, y'all. And we're here to talk. We're here to have a vet talk about Venezuela and party alignment and how they sort of mix together. So, Fred, it's been a while for some folks since they've seen you here.
Yeah,
Let them
it
know who
has
you
been.
are and talk yourself up a little bit. I know you know how to talk yourself up a little bit, um, but talk yourself up, my friend.
Yeah, man. Hey, so I'm glad to be glad to be back. Dude, I love the intro, man.
Thanks, man.
You guys are doing a lot of good stuff. Yeah, I had to take I kind of had to take a break and, was doing some other projects and then some stuff as where I was like, you know what? It's like I kind of miss doing this. And honestly, like really it was like where you guys were going and the original vision and the space that I wanted to be in was here because of recently I have become a political independent. I changed my party affiliation from Democrat to unaffiliated in Colorado. Um, and it caused a little bit of a stir. It didn't cause as much as I thought with the folks that read me at Missives from Middle Aged Man
Yeah.
or on my YouTube channel. But a few people are like, "Why would you do that?" I got. But what's interesting is I got less comments of, "Well, I guess you're a Trumper now." It's like, no, I'm not a freaking Trumper.
Yeah.
You
Still
know.
not a Trumper.
And the problem I have is, you know, it with this, these party realignment that we're going to get to is the
Mm-hmm.
fact that like Senate Democrats when they caved was to me proof positive that they will serve their corporate interests no matter what. I'm not saying it's all Democrats. I'm not saying it's AOC or, Eric Swalwell or there's a lot of good Democrats in there, but
Mm-hmm.
currently who is in the party leadership right now, like we have two political parties in the US that serve corporate interests and they're not helping us. And it just is infuriating the hell out of me. And as someone who's tried to change the party from within for basically, I was a Democrat for about 19 years, so almost 2 decades. I finally just said, you know what? It's going to take pressure from within and without in order to actually get some of these party or some of these politicians to listen to us. And I think that's where we're at, because all I'm seeing is this Angus King feckless defense of, oh, it's just too hard. It's just too hard to stand up to fascism. We guys, I know they're cutting the VA, and I know they're harming veterans, but it's really hard, you know. And Trump,
Mm-hmm.
he'll do photo ops with us. They'll talk about sending us to war with Operation Southern Spear,
The fucking
but
stupidest name
oh
ever.
my god, it's
Couldn't think of
or
a better name, dude. Like you try and like Pete Hegseth, you masculine yourself up so much. You're just a beta cuck who just sucks, and sucks more. You couldn't even come up with a clever name for this operation fake narco terror war. Like, come on,
oh my
man.
god,
Southern Spear. Yeah,
Southern Spear. Like,
yeah,
oh
Southern
wow.
Spear. Couldn't even name it like some Crusader shit. Like you could have gotten cool, dude. You could have made like your dog whistles cool and shit in your sound at least, but no.
Right.
Operation Southern Spear.
Right. I just Operation Southern
What
Spear.
is
It's like
that? Your penis just hanging down? Like, fuck you, guy.
it's like wow. It's like you did something that's been like that has been used as names of operation forever. Wow, it's like tip of the spear. This is the spear. It's like
Warriors unite.
we're gonna get everyone in the stadium and do the world record for most push-ups by a group. We did one push-up. Look at me. I'm the sec dev.
Yeah, I don't want my sec def to be fucking doing push-ups. I want him to be doing tactical analysis and planning and long-term strategy and putting together a team of generals that actually know what the hell they're doing, and the team of admirals that know what they're doing. But I guess not. That's
Well,
not what
but that's
it was.
yeah, he doesn't know that stuff. That's the thing. He didn't make it past, like, he might have, like, he was a major and he was in admin.
Yeah.
So basically, like, all he knows is that level of leadership. That's it. Like, he knows basically, like, how to enforce grooming standards and all this other, like, it's funny. My sister and has this picture of her time. She's a West Pointer, right?
Yeah.
And I thought she meant this as a joke, but she literally has a picture of her in Honduras on a deployment, where, as a young second lieutenant, where she's following the captain with a clipboard and writing things down that he says. And she goes, there it is, a second lieutenant following the captain with a clipboard. And I said, did your soldiers take that as a joke? And she says, no, I had to do that. I was
No.
like, oh my
God.
She says one of my soldiers took it and thought it was funny. I was like, oh, it's hilarious. It's
All that West Point education to hold a clipboard and write down what some idiot is dictating to themselves.
Exactly. And that's what people, unless you were in it, you don't understand how woefully unqualified Pete Hegseth is for this job. Like, he's never been in a position at the brigade level or in an operational theater where he's having to make
or division level,
right, where he's making a strategic decision, where he's in those conversations about deployment of forces and manpower and logistical concerns and all these things that you actually would need to understand on how to operate a theater of war.
Yeah, like, you have to care about and have to need to know. Like, that's your job. So This is where we get into sort of the Venezuela stuff, because
oh my God,
and what's going on there.
Are you worried? I'm actually kind of worried. I was more worried about it now than I used to be.
Let's get into it. Is Melissa Corrigan and I talk a lot about Venezuela, and the buildup of Navy vessels there. We both keep a pretty close eye on it. Like, some of my few Google alerts that I get for news updates are around Venezuela and Venezuela, or Venezuelan movements. Did you somehow ban or mute Shane? I don't know what's going on, dude, but you should be able to comment. What the hell, man? I don't know. Let me check it out. Shane is not able to comment in our chat right now.
Does he deserve to comment, though?
I mean, Shane does deserve to comment.
Okay,
he's pretty on point. I believe in Shane. If you don't follow Shane Urich, go follow Shane Urich. He's freaking awesome.
Shane Urich is
Firebrand
awesome.
Project. Incredible dude.
Awesome young guy. Love him.
Yeah. And I don't see anything wrong with your stuff. So I do not know, brother.
I'm almost afraid to click the second link you sent me, even though it's for the chat, because I'm afraid I'll exit out. Like, that's how like limited my technology is. I'm like,
just open it in a new browser, brother.
There you go. Okay, cool.
It's all. But yes, to answer your question is yes. I am more concerned now than I used to be about Venezuela and what's going on. And Melissa and I talk about it a lot. I think there is I think the buildup that's going on of Navy vessels that we have obviously is prepping for a war. That being said, all of that is also it's also the makings of a USS Cole and a self-inflicted either attack on our vessels that we just made happen because they were packed together and invited attack, or a manufactured attack in a false flag event to create the environment for invading.
Yeah.
And there was news not too long ago that the CIA possibly was backing a false flag event to hit the USS Gravely while it was docked in Trinidad and Tobago, which, by the way, Melissa informed me was one of the has had the longest active running mission of a naval vessel like to date right now. Like they just got back from their mission, and then they were sent to Trinidad and Tobago. They were actively in the Middle East, I think,
Yeah.
and fighting the Houthis. They were fighting up with defending against the Houthis. Now they're back and they're on an unending mission to Venezuela and the Caribbean. And their boat was basically targeted for, if true, if those reports are true, from
Right.
Venezuela, from a CIA backed operation to blow it up. That's a false flag event to start a war. And now Trump is openly saying, yeah, I'm okay with CIA operations in Venezuela.
Of course he is.
Thoughts.
Yeah.
And our inept dumbass Pete Hegseth as fucking SecDef play.
Well, that's why he's in there. He's in there to just basically rubber stamp whatever Trump wants. And the thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's kind of tinfoil hat territory. Where would that? I was like, well, the Gulf of Tonkin, what we know about it now that like escalated the Vietnam War was, not what it was when it was reported at the time. The same thing with I think it was the Maine in Cuba and Guantanamo when it blew up.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, the Spanish did it. It's like, no, it was a boiler that exploded. Historians are pretty much like, yep. And Joseph Pulitzer, his papers, when they had yellow journalism, that came about. So at this point, when you have like corporate media and you have just the lengths of illegality that the Trump regime is willing to go, I don't put it past them to manufacture a false flag so they could do wag the dog. And my concern is, just like with the gang of the Hateful Eight or whatever you want to call them that caved, no one stopped to think on the Iraq war. Democrats along with Republicans rushed to push that war through for Bush, and the corporatists, and again, just because they've screwed things up with tariffs doesn't mean the military industrial complex is not out of the game yet. And how can they make up their profits? I don't know. A war in South America, a wider regional conflict,
making drones
sure would boost sales, wouldn't it?
Yeah, making all those new drones with Palantir. I'm verifying before I say anything about this one with our good friend Shane. He's unable to post in the chat, but I want to make sure I verify before I put the piece of information out that he's talking about. Is like Shane and I talk about drones. Is we have firsthand reporting of B-2 stealth bombers moving from Alaska towards North Carolina, towards the base, the Marine base there. That is a staging ground and in range of Venezuela, and Colombia and Brazil and Argentina and Chile and any country in South America. Basically, it's staging grounds now.
Well, Chile's having elections right now, so you've got, and what people forget,
to Miramar Air Base, SoCal, which is also still fucking in range of Venezuela and Colombia from the Eastern Pacific. Like, if you look at the chart on where the boats have been blown up, half of them have been on the Eastern Pacific near the Mexican border. Like, we're getting close to bombing Mexico on accident. I think they're trying to engineer some sort of international crisis where we either bomb Mexico, because that's what Stephen Miller's had a hard-on for his entire fucking life, because he got turned down once by a Hispanic girl and has been blaming Latino people for the rest of their life because he has a small penis and doesn't know how to work it. And he looks like a penis, or the worm that grew out of RFK Jr.'s head and turned into a human being, but couldn't finish the job. And I think he's not going to be able to finish the job this time either. He's just half done, half finished all the time. So fuck that dude. But it's been his hard on to bomb Hispanic people. Like that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
So,
It's
but like you're saying too, is the with the party alignment piece and all of this too is corporatist Democrats and warhawk centrist Democrats are going to back this war. The New
I
York
think they are.
Times
Yeah.
is already fucking headlining, oh, what are the good things about a regime change for Maduro? Nothing. No good change. I don't like Maduro, but I am not into regime change because we need to do it here at home first before we do it anywhere else.
Well, what's fascinating is, and here's where I put my conspiracy theory hat on, and I put it a hell of a lot. I put it on way more these days for Venezuela. You look at the Nobel Peace Prize, which was awarded to Rubio's Trump-backed politician in Venezuela, who her stance is basically she wants to create another Argentina where you let in all the foreign corporations and you privatize everything, right? And so, and we've and again, we've done this as America before under Taft, President Taft. It was called dollar diplomacy, and that's where the term banana republic came in, was because of Dole Pineapple and the Dole Fruit Company. Is basically they would come in and the U.S. military would back American companies. That's why you had Marines in Nicaragua and in Mexico, is they would back these American companies with these loans that were made in South America. We've been doing this for a century. We just kind of took a little bit of a break, and then we said, well, we're not going to go full on, backing corporate interests. We're just going to kill. We're gonna back anybody that says they're not a communist, even if they're death squads and all this other stuff. Because in the 80s, it was in the 70s and 80s, it was like as long as they fought communism.
Yeah.
And then now it's, oh, well, they're not, like anything just gets labeled narco terrorist, right? So it's whatever label they want to apply. But we've been doing this in South America for over a century, and it has created death and destruction and horrible stuff. And we're getting ready to do it again. Like that's what this is. It's as American as apple pie. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And with reporting coming out, like I said at the beginning of this, one of the few things that I actually get news updates from, and it's specific news updates on words that would be in articles around troop movements, SOCOM, just Venezuela and the military, is on top of all of this, like I already said, Trump is said to have authorized CIA plans for covert action in Venezuela, reporting from the New York Times, which means it's already happened. Like they are doing it. There are vessels in the Caribbean that are specifically for Black Ops style missions and heavy duty like SEAL style missions and covert operations. And we haven't released the name of that vessel for safety because, unlike some people, I am not going to break OPSEC on certain things because I don't want people to be hurt. I don't want our service members to be hurt.
No.
But our service members are going to get hurt.
Yep.
Our brothers and sisters and others are going to get hurt because some politician wants to play fucking Battleship and Risk and thinks it's just a board game where if the little people die, it's okay as long as they get what they want. And part of that is rare earth minerals, corporatist interests, oil, things that they need to make drones, things that the tech oligarchs need to make their little fiefdoms. And the part of all of the problem with this is if we go to war, the corporatist Democrats are going to sell it as a good thing because they're going to make a shitload of money off of it. And they're still going to call themselves Democrats, but they're not. They're just war hawks. They're assholes. And they're trying to build the military industrial complex so that the internal surveillance system can come online through Palantir and they can start making drones everywhere.
I honestly think, like, man, me leaving the Democratic Party was just, I'm early. That's all. Like,
I haven't left the Democratic Party. And like we were talking about this morning with Senator America, or I was talking about with Sherrod Swaney
Yeah.
from Senator America, Evan Fields and from News Underground and Lincoln Square, and our good friend Shane Yerrick from Firebrand Project, is we were talking about party affiliation and the meaning of like words of like regressive and conservative, and can we finally shed the labels and just put them into the dustbins of history of conservative and liberal, and can we finally just start using words like progressive and regressive
Yeah.
to define people? And do we have to make a party that is big enough for Adam Kinzinger and Joe Walsh? Not saying against them.
Yeah.
Or can they build the new third party on the right that isn't named Republican and isn't named Democrat or Democratic, because those are scare words to a lot of people, and it's team sports and people don't want to give up on their team sports. And I know you talked about this earlier with Dana Dubois and Lawrence Winterman too on their show on Gen Xy, is why shouldn't we do it? Like we've been told so many times by the two parties that it's impossible. You can't do it. You can't have a third party. And the only ever third parties we ever have are like super corporatist run insider parties.
Yep.
That are just built into the system as part of a distraction to say, see, you can't have third parties. Well, why can't we? And how do we get there? And how do we use things like what's going on in Venezuela to help us get there?
Well, absolutely. I think here's the thing that, everything that when we fall back into this framing when things are normal, right? Your normal sort of, where if you look at it as like, well, with the federal system, eventually you settle into two parties, and that's the rub, right? But what about this era is normal? What about is business as usual? Because right now, effectively, from our party leaderships in both parties, they support money interests, corporate interests, and billionaires. There's no party as a party that is supporting
us.
Yeah, that's supporting working folks. I don't care if you're quote unquote conservative or liberal or what you are. They are not supporting you. Period. Because if Trump was your guy, SNAP benefits isn't going away. All these things that are helping you would not be going away. And the thing is, like with Venezuela, they're running a more aggressive playbook than Argentina. Because what's happening in Argentina? Argentina is basically dollar diplomacy. Dollar diplomacy under Taft was, we are going to use government resources to back private investment. That's exactly what's happening in Argentina. Scott Bessent pushed $40 billion in a loan. He doesn't call it a bailout. It's a loan, which is made to Argentina, which basically says these foreign billionaires like Rob Centrone own a good chunk of Argentina's, basically their financial system. And how are they making money from that? Oh, they took American soybean contracts and farming contracts to Argentina. Yeah. Argentinians aren't making money off of that. It's the agribusiness and those billionaires
who JD Vance owns a lot.
They're making money. The American billionaires are making money. The American billionaires took farming contracts from American farmers, and that China said, no, we're not dealing with you guys, and they went to Argentina. They just didn't have to drop bombs there. The same playbook, if I'm a betting man, is going to happen in Venezuela. That is what is coming. Where Argentina, once they put the Nobel Peace Prize winner, and so they could whitewash all of her horrible actual policies, which is basically going to be neo-colonialism. Like, that's what this is. Without calling it that, that's what's going to happen in Venezuela after the bombs have settled out.
Yeah.
Because again, they've taken the meat off the bone in America from American working people. And we're not going to become a peasant class. It's just not going to happen. We won't take to it. But Venezuela, oh yeah, they can do all kinds of human rights abuses down there. They can do all kinds of horrible shit. And their president will just give them a pass because they put her in power, right? And they'll say, "See, but," and then what will get sold by Democrats for a while and for other corporatist lackeys is, "But she's a woman, you guys. She's progressive for that area. We're doing good things. Here's the one school we built. Yeah, but you bombed 12 others, man."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I see folks in our chat pushing back a little bit on us, which is fine. I want you,
Sure,
everyone, in to push back and get your ideas out there. And offering additional suggestions in the chat too. That's great. I appreciate what you guys are talking about. Is one of the things in all of this is, if you're diehard staying on the Democratic Party, good. Fucking force them from the inside.
Yep.
I'm still a Democrat. I'm going to push them until I'm not a Democrat or a Democratic Party member. Like, I don't care. I am affiliated with it because it allows me to vote in primaries, because we have been told by the parties that that is the only way voting can happen, and that is the only way the system can be maintained, is that we have to vote in the way that they tell us is appropriate to vote, which is, you have to vote and you only get votes in primaries if you're part of one of two parties. Well, why? Where in the Constitution does it say that you establish two parties and they get to dictate what everyone else in the country does?
And honestly, that's not even true, because there are states that allow open primaries, like, say, Virginia. All you got to do is, like, certain states you can just vote in whatever, but other states like Virginia, you just have to declare, if you're an independent, are you voting in the Republican or are you voting in the Democratic primary? And the thing is, like, a lot of this stuff, man, there is so many shenanigans behind the scenes that the party elites will rig the elections. They'll put their thumb on the scale. They'll change. They'll pressure county parties. And Julie Roginski, I was on a live with her. She made a really great point. Because of the Tea Party and guys like Joe Walsh, Republicans became afraid of their voters, whereas the Democrats, they're not afraid of their base. That's why they don't do anything for their base. That's why it's all this lukewarm crap. I jokingly said, and I was half serious, by becoming an independent, they'll probably listen to me more, because they damn sure seem to be courting me as an independent now, and disaffected Republican voters. It's not the base. They could give a crap less about the base. Because
here's the thing too, is like, the Democratic base has worn itself away because, just like you said, they've been complacent and they haven't really done anything. They just expect Black people to vote for Democrats. They expect Hispanic people to vote for Democrats. They expect Jewish people to vote for Democrats.
Right.
Yet you guys are supporting fucking AIPAC and a genocide going on in Palestine and Gaza that is literally causing anti-Semitism to be on the rise. And now we are living in a time where Nazis are present. That's a result of that. Part of that is a result of AIPAC's influence and the way that they have forced people to associate Judaism with Israel and allowed a genocide to happen. Like, why do I support that? I don't need to.
Don't.
And the thing is, like, I'm courting independent voters too, but I'm courting people who don't vote. My goal isn't disaffected Republican voters. It's disaffected voters. Like, the voting swath in this country that does not vote is roughly like 2/5 of the population of voters don't, or like 3/5 don't vote. 3/5 of the voting population basically don't vote. So they're disaffected because all they hear are Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican.
Yes.
Okay, what happens if somebody comes in that isn't the Green Party, that just comes out of fucking nowhere every 4 years and is funded by Russia? Jill Stein, you're a Russian plant. Go fucking somewhere else and stop trying to ruin our elections, you Russian plant. You dined with Putin. We have the the picture receipts. We know
Yep.
we're a Russian plant, Green Party. But if we had real parties backed by people, like, why can't we? Why? How do we get there, and why can't we do it now? And yes, the answer is money. Okay, well, stop sending your money to the Democratic Party.
Thank
Start
you.
working with groups like us, like Banner and Backbone, and what Fred is doing at Missives, and what I'm doing at Sick of This Shit Publications. What we just did on our discussion before this one, if you're watching it live, is we had the window of discussion with Centered America and Evan Fields from Lincoln Square, and how we can actually make new parties, 4 or 5 of them, not just 2. I want them to go the way of the Whigs, because they're poisoned words. Like, nobody wants to affiliate with a party that has a 19% approval rating, and it's lower than the fascist regime in charge.
Yep.
So why are people going to vote for that? Instead of rebranding, let's make some new parties that people actually want to be a part of, and we can do it quickly.
I think we're going to see that, in the sense of, you are going to see these, because look, this can't hold. What these 2 parties are, this makeup now, they won't hold. And maybe after all this Epstein stuff shakes out, hopefully you get a center party with never Trumpers and, disaffected Republicans.
The Bulwark, Adam Kinzinger crowd.
Yeah,
you guys can start your own party. You've got the fucking money. Go do it.
Yeah, they become the center coalition party, whatever that becomes. And then we actually get a progressive party that's for workers and for, middle class folks and everyone else, because you cannot have a democracy with 2 parties that only really care about corporate and moneyed interest. You can't. It just will not hold, because if your solution is, yeah, housing is terrible and the lack of affordability, so let's do 50-year mortgages and 15-year car notes.
Because I want to pay 15 fucking years on my truck, instead of forcing value, instead of making corporations make things affordable and raising wages where people could actually afford to buy things. We're just forced into debt and slavery.
Or gasp, you can't be a billionaire anymore. You'll still be the richest among society. You just won't be a trillionaire. You just won't be a billionaire. You'll still be richer than the rest of us. It's just the gap is going to be just a little less.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like 100 millionaire. Like $100 million. That's enough. That's enough.
Like,
what do you need with that money?
The average household only makes 100,000 and you're worth 40 million. Like, are we seriously that's the problem, is like, this is the thing. And again, this is why I came to this, is like, if I'm going to be in this space and I'm going to be like essentially a thought leader, and I'm going to say, hey, I think this thing about this and you should think this too. I can't go out and keep selling this crap to you, like to folks. I can't, especially when I don't really believe in it, because let me ask you something, like seriously, this is what I would ask the chat, is like, this party, this Democratic Party in their leadership right now, do you think they're actually going to raise taxes on billionaires? Do you think they're going to really push for universal health care when all these corporations are making billions upon billions of dollars? Do you really think they're going to really take on the housing crisis in America?
Do you think the Democratic Party is going to advocate for a wealth tax and a wealth minimum, a universal basic income? Are they going to advocate for that? No, they don't. They fucking don't. They don't advocate for those things. But you know what those are? Those are moderate progressive policies. Like, if a progressive party came out and said, we are the powerhouse party now, and just ran with it, went on offense, just go out and do it. Just have your, align yourselves and say, and this is not, and I saw pushback from one of the folks in the chat. This is not anything to do with the executive. This is, we are only talking legislative, Congress and the Senate.
The party, the party platform as a whole.
Yeah.
What do you
the president should have to abdicate their party when they come into power. The president should have to be partyless when they are in power. Mm-hmm. And do you think the Democrats are going to advocate for really progressively radical ideas like that? Like, that's a radical, bold idea, is that that the president cannot be has to drop party affiliation and
Yeah.
has to run as a non-affiliated. Plus, we get rid of the electoral college, but that's a different thing. Senate and House seats are different. That is the easiest way we get there. Yes, we have to win in 2026 into a majority where they can do things like increase the number of legislators. The House of Representatives should be somewhere around 750 right now, based
Correct.
on some really good math that Lawrence Winterman has done. That
That
solves gerrymandering, that increases representation, that automatically opens the door for fourth, fifth, and sixth parties to jump in.
or what about a single 6-year term for president? You win, you don't run for re-election, you get 6 years.
Yeah. And you're fireable.
Yeah.
And add in a clause into the Constitution where the citizens, if enough citizens in your state say that you are no longer their senator, say 3/5 majority or whatever, say you are no longer their senator, or house, or 3/5 in your district say you're fired, and a new election happens. The rank of public servant is under the rank of voter in this country. We have a
It should
caste
be.
system in the US. It's the caste of voter, non-voter, who either specifically abdicates on purpose from voting or is ineligible to vote, either by the state's laws or whatever, which is infringement on your right to vote. Your right to vote shall not be infringed. And then underneath of you are the public servants, who need to be reminded that we fire you when you do shitty jobs, and you don't get to tell us that we cannot fire you.
Right. And a lot of this stuff, it sounds radical. It's not. It's because it feels radical because it's different. Because you've been told for most of your lives, like, we have the best system in the world. We're the exception. We're the exception. We're the amazing thing. And if you change it, oh boy, like, everything's gonna go crazy. It's like, but has staying the course made things better in the last 40 years? It hasn't. And at some point, you have to accept that. You have to accept that staying the course, or going, like, we tried going back. We tried going back to the institutions with Biden, and it got us Trump again. That's what it got us. It's not, I'm not saying it was Biden's fault, but we tried to restore the institutions which had rotted out, because you can't tell me this current Supreme Court is not corrupt as hell. Like, and instead of, it's like, oh well, the American, and Biden kept saying it, which I think history will see is his biggest mistake. Well, the American people will be the final jury on Trump. No, dude, you should have been the authority on Trump. You should have pushed the DOJ to prosecute him. You should have prosecuted Supreme Court justices. You should have done what Abraham Lincoln did when he suspended habeas corpus in Maryland to keep it from going into the Confederacy, and he arrested the governor. Those were the decisions we had to make, because we just come out where we had January 6th and we had a freaking coup on television. Like,
and I want to push back against the assertion that we have to wait. We do not have to wait till November 2026 for these changes to happen. It's not just academic that we're talking about this. Right. Yes, we're talking about it. We have to have these discussions. And if we don't have these discussions, how the fuck are we going to get Trumpism out of power? Like, we could, if Trump vetoes the release of the Epstein files,
which he can't,
enough citizens came out and said, you release them or we will impeach you. Guess what? A national referendum can happen. We've been lied to and told that you can't do national referendums in this country. Nothing in the Constitution says you cannot hold a national referendum to remove the current sitting government. I was actually taught that you can, with a large enough majority of the population, you can remove the entire federal government at one time and say, fuck you. You are not our government, because they don't get to tell us how you cannot or can vote. The right to vote shall not be infringed, which means I could hold a national referendum tomorrow and say
Mhm.
Donald Trump must be impeached. And if enough Americans said yes, it doesn't matter what Congress says.
Oh, they'll
They
get on board.
listen to us, and they
Exactly.
would then get on board, because if enough people, it's not 3.5% of the population that we need. We need
Mhm.
more than that. Yes, 3.5% of a sustained movement tends 100% of the time thus far historically has toppled an authoritarian regime. I'm
Mhm.
not talking, that's too small. We need 65, we need 3/5 majority in this country to come together and say we have a pedophile and a rapist who is leading the government right now, who is
Yep.
leading a criminal conspiracy and racketeering organization, RICO, a racketeering and criminal organization to cover up the Epstein files, child sex trafficking, money laundering, and an international crime syndicate that is destroying our country, led by Russian mobsters who infiltrated Israel and became Israeli Russian mobsters. And I'm saying mobsters for a very specific reason, because that's who they are. It is not
Right.
the entire Israeli people, it is not Jewish people, it is mobsters who are doing this from Russia. They told us 40 years ago that they would do it too. We're just too fucking arrogant to believe it. We need to make some sort of 3/5 or 2/3 majority in this country on a national referendum and demand that these fuckers be removed.
Yeah.
Anyone who committed treason be removed. And if these people who are actively committing high crimes and misdemeanors against our country should and must be removed. If 2/3 of this country or 3/5 of this country or whatever majority of this country came out and said, hey, representatives, senators, you either vote this way, or when you don't, we will immediately remove you because we hold the power to do that, because the Constitution does not say we can't.
Mhm.
You get voted out. And we do it all over. Snap elections can happen. Stop being told you can't do this because that's not how it's done. Where in
Right.
the Constitution does it say that we can't? Where in the Constitution does it say I cannot put together a national referendum and remove the president and the executive leadership for treason? If Congress abdicates its role, who is supposed to uphold the Constitution? The citizenry. It is
Mhm.
our role, not it is our ultimate final role to uphold the Constitution, which means when we've said we've had enough, we've had enough. Stop being told we can't. Start asking, how do we?
Exactly. And like and this is my concern, right? And why I've decided to become basically just a truth teller and a bomb thrower, because I know what's going to happen. I'm already seeing like Donald Trump, with that little squealing piggy is going to be the sacrifice. They're like, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, well, once we get rid of Trump, everything's going to go back to normal, folks. Everything's going to be fine. I mean, yeah, now we have 50-year mortgages and now we have 15-year car notes, but hey, the government will give you $10,000 towards, a house. Isn't that something? It's your own tax money, and
Mm-hmm.
you're just filtering it to the banks, so it's just a roundabout way to give them more of the public treasury, instead of the government actually doing what they did under FDR when they created a professional bureaucratic class for the New Deal, and they literally built homes in DC in the outer area, which are now in the millions of dollars, right? And basically said, hey, we're going to give you that, you can pay on this house, it's going to be part of your, no interest loans, and we're going to pay for this. Like, God knows we won't spend tax dollars on that, even though that
Mm-hmm.
absolutely will create jobs and will sustain communities and will help people out. We won't do that, but we
Mm-hmm.
will find a way to say everything's normal. And the thing is, we can't do that. We have to break this, where the government is beholden to moneyed and corporate interests. If we don't, it's not going to get better. It's going to be the same thing Trump's telling us right now. Prices are not high. Everything's amazing. You're just going to get a little better spin. Well, guys, I know it's tough now, but you know what? We're doing everything we can to make things better for you. You know,
Hmm.
it's like as like Democrats will declare a win where it's like, well, we didn't get 50-year mortgages, but we got 42 and a half. Isn't that better? Huh?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
fucking
Like
plebs.
your
You know?
servitude is just slightly less. Like
Yeah.
we renamed indentured servitude to mortgage and credit card debt. Like
And
that's
that's the
all it
thing is
really is.
we can't let Democrats sell us debt slavery with better posters.
Yeah.
You know.
And so again, I asked like the crowd and our audience today, like, why should I protect either party?
Right.
This isn't about the Democrats. This is about both.
No.
They're bad. Both parties are toxic. They are destroying the American system. They are.
Mhm. They
Not
are.
Americans. It is our responsibility as citizens to uphold the Constitution and to support and defend it. It's why I took the citizens oath that Lawrence Winterman put together, because it's actively supporting and defending the Constitution. It's upholding the rights and the freedoms and the values that we are supposed to be guaranteed, and
Yes.
nobody upholds them but us. We are the
100%.
final arbiters of the law in this country, not the Supreme Court, not the president and the executive branch, not Congress. They provide the laws, they make them. But if we eventually decide that they are outside of the constitutional system, it is our right as voters to say no. And that does not have to just happen during national elections. We can do it too. We don't need them. We need
No.
to stop listening to them. We need to stop the bullshit. Like, I want Adam Kinzinger and the Bulwark and whatever group he's closely associated might be closely associated with, instead of spending the $3 million or whatever they've spent on Republican candidates to go out and beat MAGA, go make a new fucking party.
Right.
Break the Republican Party apart, because then you'll probably find disaffected voters who don't want to be part of the Republican Party and are just abstaining from voting because all they hear is Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Green
Are
Party,
you are you
Democrat,
gonna
Republican.
are
Are
you
you
gonna
one of
sell
those
me?
two?
Yeah, are you gonna sell me with these new Republicans or new Democrats or whatever? Are you gonna sell me on, well, Fred, the free market, that'll fix it?
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like there's no such thing as that, because once corporate interests get in there, it's pretty much rigged.
Yep.
So there is no such thing as a free market unless the government comes in and heavily regulates the field, right? Are we gonna do that? Well, no, Fred, we can't, because Ezra Klein wrote this piece that really is, this is how the Democrats screwed up. There's too much regulation, so they should deregulate. Gee, Ezra, I've heard this before. This didn't work when Reagan did it. It
Yeah.
destroyed
Fuck your
unions.
deregulation.
Right. And this is what happens is they resell us neoconservatism. They
Yeah.
resell us like corporatism and oligarchy in a new form. And we
And
can't keep going down that road. We
and
can't.
they resell us empire and imperialism through warmongering and groups like
Venezuela.
Palantir and Venezuela. And what's happening there? We're wagging the
Yep.
dog to start a war so that the warmongers and war interests funded by Peter Thiel can make more money, accumulate more power, and then do anti-constitutional things like try and suspend the elections. Guess what? If they can pretend to suspend an election, we can really have one. Like, we don't need to listen to them. Fucking Nepal took an election on Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck do we need to use Smartmatic and Liberty voting machines or Dominion and whatever, all those other voting? Why do we need to? Why? We have modern technology. We literally vote on, we use, like, you want to use cryptocurrency, you want to use crypto and ram it down our throat, make a fucking non-fungible token so we can vote with it. Like,
Yeah.
get every American a non-fungible token. You have our social security numbers, just assign it to us. The right to voting shall not be infringed, which means it's on the government to prove that I am not a citizen, not on me to prove that I am. It's
I
the
mean,
onus and burden of truth to prove who is it, to prove without an unreasonable doubt that I am not a citizen. And if you got my social security number and the picture kind of looks like me and you got all that information, guess what, government? I get to vote. You prove me wrong afterwards, and you better have some good fucking proof. But they don't get to say no, because they have this, the government has decided that it's or has become through corporate interests and these fucked
yep,
up policies, is that regulation is meant to regulate people and not corporations.
yeah,
Regulation regulates corporate.
yeah.
People don't need to be regulated in this way. We don't regulate our
Corporations are not
bodies.
people. I don't care what they.
Corporations are not people.
They're not people.
They have limits. And it
Yes.
really is simple. We have been convinced that democracy is difficult and has to be this burdensome, super slow, fractured, hyper partisan thing. It does not. It
I
doesn't.
voted. I voted in Colorado has mail-in ballots. I get them. I get
Mhm.
notified when they're coming, emails, everything. It's sent to my house, and I voted in this last election, and it was just a school board election, right? I don't have kids, but I also remember a few years ago when they had remember when Steve Bannon was like encouraging all these MAGA assholes to take over the school board? Well, that
Moms
actually
for Liberty
happened.
and shit.
Yeah, that actually happened in Castle Rock, and people weren't paying attention. And I was like, oh man, these people are nuts. And then they ousted a really good principal, and people rose up and they're like, oh shit, no, protested, got pissed, and like that's also what turned the tide to getting like Polis and more
Mm-hmm.
Democrats in office, because they overreached here and they tossed those people out on their ass. So that's why I voted. I don't have kids in school. Like, but here's the thing: I don't want to live in a district with a bunch of with kids that are not getting a good education. I don't want to. I don't like what did pass in Colorado: free breakfast and lunch for public school
Mm-hmm.
children. I voted for that
Yeah.
because why are we still charging kids to eat at school?
Yeah. Why is
Why
there
are we still
debt for
doing that?
children to eat food?
Right. Like what so if they like, and I remember that going to school, it's like where it's like, man, I didn't have enough lunch money because I forgot it or whatever. And it's like, well, I couldn't eat lunch that day. Why are we doing this? Why? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if I pay a little bit more in taxes personally, so kids can have a freaking lunch or breakfast at school, because you know what? Some of these poor folks, that might be all those kids really get for meals is that breakfast and that lunch.
Yeah.
you know, and it's less of an own because again, what just happened today? Groceries have hit a record 40-year high on
Yeah.
average
Like 1,000+ a month now for
for
a
a
family
family of
of
four.
four. I can
Kids
tell
are going
you
to go
that is true at minimum.
kids are going to go hungry. So the least I can do is hopefully they get 2 good meals at school.
Yeah.
And
Like,
maybe that's why they go to school, is like, and when they're there, I want them to get a good education. I want there to be smaller class sizes and more teachers and all this other stuff. But we won't get this if we're convinced like Wall Street billionaire bros deserve all the money, and the people that actually do the work, well, go fuck yourself.
yeah.
Well, you know,
And why is our system, I mean, I know why, but we live in a system that has been so corrupted to make us believe that we have no power.
right.
We have been, over my 35 years of life, since I can remember, since I started remembering things and learning, so let's say 30 years roughly of my life,
Yeah.
I have been taught that voting and voters have the ultimate power and say in this country. And when we are fed up, we get to say, fuck off. If you are like, how are politicians supposed to be held accountable in real time for their actions, for policies that kill people, if everyone around them is also corrupted? What is what it is our only mechanism to then go and revolt in a bloody civil war? Or can we overthrow them peacefully through voting on a much shortened timeline, through
Yeah.
citizen-led action saying, no, We're done. We're tired. We're sick of the shit that you're doing. We have some backbone and we're going to fucking go do something. And I made a plea to, well, why not real time? Why not likely? Why? Why do we keep saying we can't? How about we need, if every time we say can't, a Republican screams in joy. Every time you say you can't do something, a regressive fascist screams in joy. Every time you say I can't or we shouldn't or we don't even,
Mhm.
it's hard so we don't do it, you sound like Angus King, the
Yeah.
independent from Maine, who just said, well, it was hard to do it so we didn't. Guys, I
They
worked
might
my
have had to
ass
work through
off
the
to,
holidays. Oh no. You
like,
know.
we work our asses off to talk about this shit, to give everyone ideas to continue coming together, um, and describe it and like get their emotions out and feel it, so that when the time comes, when as we are building these networks actively, you want to know how to do this where we can't, like, we get past we can't, support us, like support what we're doing and get this word out. Because I spoke to Evan Fields this morning, who is a contributor on Lincoln Square. I'm going to be his second guest on his new running podcast series, right behind Rick Wilson. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm meeting people because you guys are giving me the chance to do that. There's
Yeah.
200 of you in this, over 200 people on Substack in this audience. We're on Twitch and YouTube right now as well. Like, we have 3 platforms going. There are people who watch every single time that we come on, and you
Right.
guys build this network. We're doing the work that Midas Touch is refusing to do, which is open coalition building. I'm tired of people giving in and hiding that they're coalition building, because that's just cowardice. If you're not going to show that you're building the coalition and building the party, and you're just here for rage bait and clickbait and shit
Your
like that,
your infotainment at that point.
you're infotainment and you're selling us short and the promise of what you gave. Whereas other networks and platforms are contributing into a open ecosystem where supporting smaller creators comes from engagement from the larger platforms down to us. They actively are trying to seek us out. I actively talk to folks on big platforms with Find Out Podcast and Lincoln Square now. And I've talked to Fred Wellman on the Midas Touch. Fred Pogue and I have both talked to Fred
Oh
Wellman.
yeah, Fred.
He's
Yeah.
running for second congressional district in Missouri, and I
Missouri.
support his campaign. He's a Midas Touch contributor. He's not Midas Touch. I support contributors and the work that they do. Ken Harbaugh, incredible dude, but the Midas Touch needs to step up. Not the contributors that are doing the hard work, not the folks who are running for office because they have taken their platform and said, I'm going to now take that next step and do it. Fred Wellman is doing it. So
Yeah.
support campaigns like that, because he's going to listen, but they don't have to just be from the Democratic Party and Republican Party. Like,
It's okay.
let's just it's okay to do a third party.
It's okay to put, like, look, man, if the Democrats are so fragile that that the party can't handle criticism, then it's not worth keeping around. You can't be below the regressives at 19% and expect people to go, okay, and then run over to it and just be jazzed about it. You can't. It's okay to want to build coalitions. And to Midas Touch and the Mysalis brothers, man, you've done great work up to this point. You need to do more.
Yeah.
The moment requires more. It is okay to say that. It is okay to demand more from your politicians. And that's what they're there for. They're not there to be fawned over and worshiped. And it's like, yeah, it's great. I love it when Jasmine Crockett has a soundbite. And I love it when AOC, like, but these people are doing the hard work. There need to be more of them. And even those folks, if they start resting on their laurels, it's like, hey, you need to do more. And if it's like, oh man, it's getting tougher, it's like, cool, retire. Let's get somebody else in there with the vigor to do it, because that's what it's going to require in this moment and moving forward. It's going to require a lot of work, and you
Yeah.
gotta push people. You gotta push.
Yeah, and
Like,
you guys in the audience push us. Like we
yeah,
respond to your comments. We're active. We care about what you're saying. And one of our great uh, friends in the chat, Foof, said it's scary too. Like it's hard. Like some of us, it's hard to get out of bed every day. I'm one
yeah,
of those folks, y'all. Like I have fibromyalgia. I have multiple chronic conditions. It's hard to get out of bed a lot of days. I'm depressed. I have anxiety. I have been suicidal in the past. I am not in any way suicidal right now. I am not in any way. Just
yeah,
saying that off my chest so that everybody knows. What I am saying though is I do understand the fear. I put myself at risk every time I come out here and talk. I put
yeah,
myself at risk when I join lives with Zev Shalev and Lev Parnas and Dean Blundell. I've been on shows with them. I got pulled on to and Dean's coffee hour 2 weekends ago. I wasn't expecting it. I had to brush my beard out like before I got the invite, and I'm sitting there brushing my beard out by hand like shit. I look like crap. It looks like I'm still wearing my CPAP. Um, and no, Foof. I'm not offended at all. What you said.
no, no, we're not.
I wanna make sure what you know is what I'm saying is your 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 comment is really important. I'm not dismissing any of that. I am actually encouraging what you're doing. If I can do it, you guys can do it too. It doesn't have to be as
Yeah,
much as I do. Doesn't If you don't feel comfortable doing what I'm doing or as much, that's fine. But if you're able to come out and say to a neighbor or a friend that you've never said to before, to correct them in person because you've gotten the strength from seeing me and Fred
yeah,
discuss it on how masculinity might work or some of these topics, you have made a courageous choice that you didn't make before. And I get it. Small acts of courage change the world. Daily small acts of courage change the world really quickly. And that's what we need. We need small acts of daily courage. And there's so much that we all can be doing. That's why I'm so glad people reach out to me
yeah.
and ask to come on shows. And there's a couple people in the audience who I'm going to be having on shows soon who have reached out to me. And I still need to reach back out to. It's why we're building this community so that you guys know you're not alone
Hmm.
and so that we can uplift the values that we all rely and need upon and want to have. But if you don't think I'm afraid some days or most days, then I hide it pretty well, at least, is because I am. I've got kids, I've got a wife, I've got a family, I've got people who I care about. I've got my own life I care about. And these people are ruthless and terrible, and they will do things to shut people up that are horrific.
Yeah,
And the more that we get our voices out there, it can be dangerous, but we choose to do this because we want you to know that you can do it too with us. And that's all it takes. All it takes is doing it with us. And so we've gone a little over our hour, which is fine because, it's friend me. We could go forever.
right.
Um,
I mean, we
Hey,
actually
what's
did do
up,
like a
Sherrod? I
we
see
a
Centered America
24 hour.
just joined us.
Yeah.
So, everyone, click on Centered America's name in the chat. They just joined in. Subscribe to them. You can click right in the chat to subscribe to them. You should definitely do it. We love the work they do. They're super amazing guys.
I mean,
But
we did go for 24 hours one time.
we did.
In
We did
breaks.
do that 24-hour time with some very few breaks in there. The only reason I didn't get up for one part of the segment was because I fell asleep on my face on my freaking couch and I slept through my 6 fucking alarms to try and get my ass up.
Yeah, some jackass. Oh, yeah, that's me.
Oh yeah, that was you, Fred. But that was how we launched the network. Was we did 24
Yeah,
hours, and you guys came out in droves.
100%, man.
And yeah, I just want to make sure y'all understand though too in the chat is we want you to know that what you're doing is making a difference. And the more you do it, the more difference it makes. You guys are making a difference too for me because you're helping show that I can say these things and people care and are listening and want to hear it, and that we are not the silent majority anymore. We can have a voice.
Yes.
And we can be the real majority in this country.
Yes.
And to help us get there, we have amazing people like Fred Pogue, who does some fantastic shit on his own. And I want to give my boy Fred Pogue here, after I say, come support Banner and Backbone. We need the help. We need the love. We want your support and love. The more we get out there, the better. The louder
Do
we
it.
get. I'm talking with Fred, or I'm talking with Lawrence Winterman today to see if we want to open up founding subscribers for Banner and Backbone, for those who may want to contribute a larger amount per year for us to help us
Yes.
really grow this network. That will be amazing. If
100%.
you guys can,
100%.
once we get it open, we will make that announcement. But like I do, because that's my thing, is I like building community and getting people together and connecting folks, is come support my boy Fred over at Missives from a Middle-Aged Man. Fred, sell yourself.
Yes. So that is my personal Substack, Mrs. from Middle Aged Man, where I talk about, well, like a lot of stuff. You know, it could be some stoicism. I did an article about Wu Wei and Taoism when, you know, I actually threw away my range book on when I was qualifying for, and I shot expert in the Marine Corps, you know, because I was getting psyched out. And my major wasn't happy about it. You know, it was great. It was like I had this moment. He's like, because I had to requal, and he goes, "All right, well, let me see. How'd you do?" I was like, "I don't know, sir." He says, "What do you mean you don't know? Where's your range book?" I didn't use it.
I
And
bring it.
man, he dressed me up and down. How do you expect to fire? Blah blah blah. And then they came back, and he's like, "Yeah, you shot expert." I was like, and he just smiled. He's like, "Get the fuck out of my face, Pogue."
Get your cock holster out of here, Fred.
That's it. And you know,
That's a Marine thing. Sorry if I offended anybody with that. That's a Marine thing. It's also not meant to be. It's
it's
okay.
homophobic. Yeah, it's
It's
not.
not. The real question is, like, I asked this to in the chat this morning with Dana and Lawrence's chat, because it's a fun place to ask this question when you were
Yeah.
going off about being a Marine, was how do you know if someone's gay or just a Marine? Well, you know, people
And
are gay
honestly,
and
it
not a
depends.
Marine.
It depends if it depends on how close they get when they start doing homophobic slurs at you, because then they probably want you to kiss them. You know, it's like
The real question is, do they eat crayons or not? If they eat
we
crayons, they're a
are
Marine.
we mine. I love like any of the chocolate ones. Like those are my favorite crayons.
Oh, I forgot we have an innocent person in the crowd who does not understand some of these more sexualized references. A cock holster is a mouth.
Mouth. Also, AK also referred to as a dick skinner. So
Yeah, only if you use your teeth, though. This is a way to sell Mrs. from a Middle-Aged Man, because Fred does talk about dating advice too, and like how
I
men
talk
can.
about masculinity. I talk about philosophy. I talk about history, some politics, like pretty much whatever's on top of mind. Yeah. And I'm also on YouTube and now TikTok as well. So you can find me at Frederick Pogue, TikTok, YouTube, Mrs. from Middle Aged Man, you know, and I'm basically just, yeah, you know, whatever I want to talk about. Yeah, that's what I
Mm-hmm.
talk about. Most of the time, it usually is politics, you know, how fragile masculinity has become in America because of these dipshits, you know, and these misogynists that are
Mm-hmm.
crushing manhood, like, you know, by oppressing women and being a bunch of freaking, I'll go on a tirade, lace, swear word rant, you know, but, and veterans issues, obviously, you know, we're both,
Obviously,
you and
yeah.
I are both disabled veterans. My sister's a disabled veteran. My dad was a Navy veteran, you know, and yeah, I've got a lot of friends that are in the military, um, you know, and so like, yeah, we what the takeaway from this before we sign off is like, listen, you guys don't have to do all the things. It's not on your back or my back or Nick's back alone to save the country. And if you're not in a place where all you're doing is just like trying to stay alive and trying to, you know, basically do what you can for yourself, it is what it is. I've been there. Nick's been there, you know, And so the thing, first step is getting healthy, and but these little things that you can do, they add up. Everything adds up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Every
that's
day.
what yeah, that's what Nick's trying to grow here, and that's what I'm fortunate enough to be a part of it, is to grow this community, and that's where I want to put my energy into, you know.
I'm so glad to have you back, brother. It's
Yeah, man.
been it's been too long since we've gotten to talk, and it's
Dude,
good to
it
see your face
has.
again.
And we're not gonna do that again. I'm gonna keep
No, we're not.
no,
We're
no.
not. We're going to be, there's some new shows we're working on in the background too that we're trying to discuss, and different things with folks like Shane Urich and the Opinionated Ogre and
Yeah.
other folks. Like, we want to get some men's shows out there that are not toxic, but are
No.
fun places, and you can nerd out and you can be
Yeah.
yourself and not, and it's safe for women to join us in these discussions. These are not exclusionary, but they would be geared towards men because we need positive masculine role models.
Right.
And so another side of that is to come join me at Sick of the Shit Publications. I write poetry, and I compose
Does.
classical music.
He,
So come
he
fucking join
does.
me there. Like, I've got a classical music piece. My first one out, Lento Vivo, is the only piece I have behind paywall right now. It's a flute trio, and it will stop being behind paywall when I get to 250 paid subs on Sick of the Shit Publications. So help me
Nice.
there, help get me there. And then every 50 paid sub after that, I am going to release a new composition that I have recorded, which is quite a few of them. So it'll get me pretty close to that 1,000 sub mark before I end in music, I think.
There you go.
So please come join me there at Sick of the Shit Publications. And again, also Banner and Backbone. This is how we do it. This is where we're raising the banner to restore integrity, service, and ethics in the United States. That does not have to be behind a two-party system. It doesn't have to be regressive or behind the lies. It's truth. It's fact-based. It's grounded morals. It's folks like Fred and me and you guys in the chat coming out and having a great time, but also knowing what is good and right. So let's go out there and do some shit. We're not sick. My shows I end with, we're no longer sick of this shit. We're doing this shit. Here, I'm going to ask you to do this shit. Come out, support the network, hit the subscribe button on Substack, wherever you're at, follow on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, hit the like one more time, the heart, and join us next time we talk. Fred and I will be back again. I'm going to have Fred on more often, and you'll see some writing from him. So get ready, y'all. Fred Pogue is back in the house. Banner and Backbone is raising those banners high, and we're growing some backbones here. So let's fucking do it, y'all. Have
Hell
a great
yeah.
day. This has been a great vet talk. See you, brother. See you,
Appreciate it, brother.
everyone.
Have a good one.